I recently bought myself a fishing van.
And in this series, I plan to turn this basic Berlingo into my perfect fishing mobile.
And in episode 1, I showed you what I bought and why, followed by starting on some mods. They don't even have a ratchet on me. Look at that tiny little diesel. He's so cute. In this episode, we're starting on kitting out the rear
And adding some security.
The packaging's anything to go by. This is going to be really secure. Before we get stuck into today's episode, a quick recap on what I did in episode 1. The very first mod I did was a safety one. Blind spot mirrors on the wing mirror, because as this van doesn't have rear windows and not as much visibility, I wasn't able to see cars going past me on my blind spots. That was the first thing I fitted, and it was a safety thing. The second thing I did was related to coziness of the cabin and sound deadening. I carpeted the bulkhead. Yes, it's a little bit ropey, but since doing that, it is so much quieter in here. So that's the first mod I would say is a definite plus point on improving the enjoyability. Talking of the cabin, this mod was one of the biggest ones I did in the whole episode, and this is a Wolfbox rear view mirror. It's a camera that I fitted onto the rear of the camera, which if you have watched the last episode, you would have saw it triggered a light malfunction on the light where I fitted it. That's intermittent. I've had several days of it not coming on, and then it will suddenly go again. Then I'll have several days of it saying it's not working, and then it'll fix itself again. So I'm already enjoying the quirks of a French vehicle, but that has been such a game changer with driving along. I did have a few comments saying be a man and just use your mirrors. That's fine, I can use mirrors, not a problem whatsoever, but this isn't just my vehicle. The odd occasion my wife drives it, that's going to be helpful for her, but I'm not going to lie, that has been an absolute game changer. Now, I had a lot of people getting involved with what to do on this episode going forward, and I have been reading as many messages and comments as possible, and I will be taking them on board. Loads regarding to what to do with the back, with insulation, sound deadening, whether to ply it out or get someone else to do it DIY, from remaps to different things in the cabin to a sub under the seat. I've been reading it all, and it's giving me loads of ideas going forward. But as I've already said at the start of this video, today's episode is all about getting the back started for fishing kit, because I've used it several times and it's an absolute mess. Things slide around. I need to do something with regards to that because I'm going to end up damaging rods and things. And the second thing is security. I've had loads of different suggestions of things to do, from fitting tracks to the car, fitting deadlocks, fitting really discreet things, putting stickers on the van saying asbestos removal so that people don't want to go in it, all sorts. But I did see quite a few comments like these talking about something called Van Guardian. Now, it's really good that I read those comments because I'd already found that before getting the van. When I was looking into security aspects of a van, I came across Van Guardian, and it was something that stood out to me as something that's pretty easy to fit first and foremost, and it's a good deterrent. And one other thing we're going to be doing in this video is getting some beefier power into the cabin so I can charge things on the go. And I'm not talking about extra USB ports to charge my phone and things like that. Something that can charge this beast and other power banks like it. This is the EcoFlow Delta 3 Classic, which you may have seen in a recent video because EcoFlow kindly sponsored me, sent this out, and it's now my go-to power bank when I'm out and about. But to charge this, I have to take it back into the house and charge it up. But the guys at EcoFlow saw that I did a van video and said, you need an alternator charger for your next video, and that's exactly what they've sent out. So this is what they have sent out, sponsored video of course, but don't skip on because this is an integral part of the build. A lot of you guys were commenting saying, get some power into that van because you're going to need it charging camera batteries, laptop, power banks and things like that on the go, and this will solve that. And it should be plug and play. I think the most difficult part of this is going to be finding where to get the wire from the battery terminals into the cabin. And I've done a lot of research, done a lot of digging already to check where it's going to go, and I think if ChatGPT is correct, it will be in a little gap in the wheel arch line that I've got to take off and thread it through there. This thing is extremely clever and controls how much power output is going into the power bank. It's 800 watts capacity, or up to 800 watts of charging power. But of course, you can start to dial that down using the app. So if you don't want to charge it full whack, you want to preserve your battery life and alternator for your car or vehicle, this does have a strong enough alternator on this van. I have checked that before then. So before the comments say, check your battery and alternator is powerful enough, the output of this should be strong enough. So I have looked into that, but of course you can dial it down and charge it more of a trickle charge if you like to. But this is 8 times faster than what it would normally be if I was using the little cigarette out charger port, which I've often done with power banks before. Of course, I'm probably going to find out more things about this as I go to fit it. I'm hoping it's a simple fit, but whenever I say that on this build, as you see later on in the video with the fitment of the back of the van, which is done at this point, I'm just filming this at the end of the video for the start of the video, which is why you'll also spot I've got some seat covers. A lot of you guys said it, get some seat covers, you'll ruin those seats in no time, and I've got them. And the first day I fitted them, my sister spilled her coffee on them, so I'm glad I've got these. It just wiped off, it's all good. Of course, with the, I think it's Arctic Camo it's called, so that's why I've gone for those. But anyway, let's get this fitted. And one of the first things we're going to do, because I'm doing something electrical, is disconnect the battery. I had a few people comment last time when I was fitting the rear view camera and said that the reason I had that light issue on the rear brake light is because when you're working on French cars, or probably any car really, if you're doing something electrical or touching any kind of wires, it's good practice to disconnect the battery so you don't throw up any codes and upset the system, which seems to be what happened when I did the rear camera. That's solved itself for some reason now, so at least that's a good thing. But for first things first, is disconnect the battery so I'm not faffing with anything and potentially doing harm. I'm actually using a ratchet this time. There we go. Nothing's powered on. There we are. Van is dead, hopefully temporarily. Now that negative is off, I can disconnect positive and just make double sure I'm not going to do anything silly. Battery disconnected, wheel off, jacked up, wheel under there in case it collapses. I have got axle stands, but I can't be asked to get them. So this is the wheel arch liner. I'm guessing it's behind because there I can see through to the engine base. I'm guessing I need to thread the wire through there, round wherever that lead's going. See that lead in there? I'm guessing that's behind here, which then goes into the dashboard in the passenger side. So it should be a case of getting rid of some of these screws. I think I've got that drill bit or that hex head. Pop that off and hopefully it's behind here. Yeah. Oh, thank you.
Okay.
Lily, just so you know, this is an example of if you don't know how to do something, give it a try anyway. So, wheel arch liner is off, and I'm wondering if, no, that's the indicator, that's up. I can't see where it was expecting me to find. There's that little gap there, but I think that goes back into the engine bay. So that has achieved nothing. Brilliant. I don't really enjoy working on cars that much. I like the cost saving element of DIY, but cars have always frustrated me whenever I've tried to do anything car related. Where does this all go? There's nothing there. There is nowhere for it to go through here, I swear. Distance start. Remove pullback wheel arch liner. Few clips. Locate the rubber grommet. I'm taking the whole dash apart at this rate, trying to find someone to come through. I've accepted defeat for now. I've just called my brother-in-law, who is a mechanic, and said, can you come help me out? I don't know what I'm doing. Hopefully, cut to him knowing what he's doing and finding someone to pass this lead through.
To get to them, you've got to pull all that out.
I want it on record that if my van never starts again, it's now from the help of my brother-in-law. Need to get right down on.
They mounted the bulkhead.
Oh, I see two white bits. Yeah, I see it.
Yeah?
Yeah, I see it.
There.
Yep.
Cool.
So hopefully you can see that. There is the, well, that's coming through from the wheel arch hole that I did find. So that was the correct hole, but it's behind all of that. So yeah, I did think the installation of the lead would be the hardest bit, and it definitely is. But once this bit's through, I'm gonna jinx it again. Hopefully it's plain sailing from there on in. But I think I need a cider after that. And I haven't really done much for the last hour. I see the head. You're doing really well, Simon. You're doing really well. A few deep breaths. I can see the head. And pull it and wiggle it. Right, there's the first one through.
Right, that's the first one through.
Good old ChatGPT. It told me this was the glory hole. Yeah. Yep, we're through. Yeah, we're through. So, I want it to be noted, I had found the right spot. I just needed you to take apart my van to get it from the cabin. Oh, I can see it. Yeah, but you've gone around the back of them. Hold on, stop. If I can get my hand in there. Can you pull it back?
You've got it.
Yeah, I know, but I can't pull it because there's too much of it. There's not enough flex. I'm not holding it. I'm not holding it.
Are you not? Oh.
No, I'm just letting it run over my finger, but you need to pull it back a bit.
Pulling it.
Right, what's it stuck on then? Sometimes if you change the angle of your fingers, they enjoy it more. So I'm doing this, but that's not working. So, hey, just act like I'm helping.
It's installed battery side anyway, so we've got the fuse which all comes part of the kit, so if anything goes wrong electrically, I'm not that clued up on everything, but if there's a surge or whatever, that should blow before any damage is done, so it's all a safe setup. But it was just fiddly getting in there to the rear terminal, whether negative, positive was easy enough. It's all tightened up with some zip ties, it was nice and solid in there, nothing's moving around. So this part of the install of connecting it to the battery and finding somewhere through into the cabin was always going to be the most difficult bit, and it certainly was, but that's done now. It should all be plain sailing from now on, right? Right?
Yeah, absolutely. If it doesn't work, don't blame me.
Yeah, and I'll be sure not to get your bald spot on camera again. The alternator charger is now fitted nice and discreetly from the battery terminals all the way through into the van. I've fed the lead underneath the trim of the passenger door. It goes around the back of the front passenger seat, and then I've coiled up the excess lead underneath the seat. And there's not loads of excess, but you could do this all the way to the back of the van if you wanted to. I'm predominantly going to be using it up here because when I'm going on fishing trips, that bulkhead's going to be slid forward. My camera stuff's probably going to live next to me here, so all my charging and things needs to be here and easily accessible. The hub is just here, and I've got that positioned between the passenger seat and the handbrake sort of central column. You can hard mount this. There's a metal plate that comes with it, and there's some screws. So if you want to mount it to a point in your van, if you're doing this for van life stuff, because this is perfectly capable of charging up power banks bigger than this, which I'll get onto in a second, you can hard mount this into your electrical spot in your van, maybe where you got your Wi-Fi and all sorts like that. So you can hard mount it. I'm just going to have it down here for the reason that it's nice and secure enough as it is right there, easily accessible for all the leads I need to touch. I can turn it off and on with the push of a button, but also if I ever do want to have this charger in the back of the van, I've just got to move it. I don't have to unscrew anything and move it like that. It's nice and transferable, so that's really cool. Now it's time to actually give this a proper test, and I haven't done that yet because the lead that came with it was this one, and this is designed to click into the alternator charger hub here nice and securely, which as you can see it does, and then this goes into the bigger power bank. So although this is plenty big enough for me, EcoFlow do much bigger power banks and power supply stations for van lives and things like that. So this is the chunky charger that would go to one of those, but for me, I've got two ways of charging this. It is solar/DC input or AC charge. So the AC is what I'm using at home, but the van needs to take this one, which is an XT60 if you're interested in what it is, which is what it takes for when you plug it in for solar charging. That goes into here, and this is the alternator charger adapter lead, which should plug and play into this little port just here. So as quick as that, that's genuinely the first time I've done it. It all fits. I have now got it connected to the alternator charger, but at the moment nothing should be going on. That's correct, because it's not on, and I can turn it on there and just give it a test of things, but it's best to obviously do it with the van running, and it's got safety features built in that it won't start drawing charge unless it's happy that your battery is healthy and got enough charge of itself. So don't worry, it's ever going to charge your battery or decharge, drain, that's probably the word I'm looking for, your battery. But if we turn it on, just we've now got power being generated by the alternator, which of course this is when it's going to work at its best. We should now still see nothing on there because I haven't turned it on. Let's turn my radio off, shall we? There we go. So there is still nothing going on here, but if I press the power button on the alternator charger down here, there we go, and we got a beep. That tells me it's now on, and already it's charging. So it's telling me we've got an input of 445, 469, it's going up and up and up. 498. I'm pretty sure this is going to cap at 500 watts of input, and there we are, 498, around that mark. It's already charging. I've got 26% battery on this power bank at the moment, but that was super quick. Just plug and play. As soon as I start driving, this will be charging up whilst I'm on the road. I'll obviously find a way to secure this a bit better in here, but there is more. If I grab my phone, it would help if I knew where I put it. There is an app that I can then check what's going on with the battery supply. I can tone down how much is charging this, especially if you're using that chunky lead on a bigger battery, and you can charge up to 800 watts. You can then dial it back if you want a more trickle charge or go rapid charge using full wax. So if I now get my phone, I will go on to the EcoFlow app. As you can see right about here, the screen recording of my phone for the EcoFlow app. If I just turn on my Bluetooth so that I can connect to these items, it'll be as simple as alternator charge has already come up, and it's telling me my Delta 3 Classic is now on 28%. So just sat here with the van on idle, it's charged 2% on here at 500 watts. So I can click on the alternator charger and it will give me all the information I need of what it's doing right now. It's telling me that my voltage from the battery is 14.9 volts, and the power output to the power bank, as you can see, is teetering around the 500 watt mark. I can change different charging capacities and things like that. I'm not going to go too in depth on the app because you'll probably get bored of me talking too much about it. But if you are a bit of a nerd like that, check it out. There's so much you can do within this app. If I go onto the power bank, it's now acknowledged that I've tapped into looking at it. I can see it's got an input of 494 watts, output nothing at the moment. So I can charge from this whilst I'm using it. So let's put that to the test. I've got a 3-pin plug in here somewhere, and this, where everyone keeps their video lights, will charge one of my video lights. So if I plug this into the front of my power bank, which is currently at 28%, turn on the power supply of the 3-pin plugs, plug that in, so it's now on charge. There we are, it's telling me it's charging on the light. And if I grab my app again, it's now telling me I've got a 21 watts of output. But now if I turn the van off, so my alternator is no longer getting a power supply, watch that input drop. It's dropping, 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 and it's now stopped. So it's got a fail safe. If the alternator's not charging the battery, it's not going to keep pumping charge into this. So it's perfectly safe. And just in doing that bit to camera, I've charged it from, what was it, on 26%? It's now on 30%. So 4% of a power bank this big while sat on idle on my driveway is pretty impressive. So I'm definitely sure that, where's my camera gone? I've lost a camera. There it is. Where was I? So what I'm saying is, I'm very confident this is going to be perfect for charging stuff on the long distances I've got. On Sunday, which from the point of filming this is only 4 days away, I'm driving out to Belgium. I've got 4 nights over there. Really looking forward to it. So I'm pretty sure this is going to come in very handy. So that is me very, very happy that I've now got a power supply in the van. And not only is that going to be perfect for my fishing, but as you'll see from the rest of this video, I've been using the Delta 3 Classic power bank to power all my power tools down here on my driveway whilst I work on the rest of the van, which we're going to get onto later in the video. Full disclosure, I have been talking to the founder and owner of Vanguarding to find out what would be the best system for this. He sent this out to me complimentary. It's not particularly a sponsored video, but I am going to be upfront with the fact that this has been sent out to me to try out and see what I think about it. And from what I saw online, like I said, I'd already seen these when I was looking for different ways of making my van a bit more protected. I already like the look of this, so it's just really helpful and handy that he has got on board to help me with this video. Let's open it up. If the packaging's anything to go by, this is going to be really secure.
A few moments later.
10 minutes later, we've got everything out of the packaging. That was some heavy duty stuff. So if that's anything to go by, this should be a good kit to go with. So this gives you an idea of how everything works. You've got different alarm systems for front doors, side doors. If you've got stuff on the roof, the back doors. As I've just said, I've gone for a big rear door one to do the rears, and some side ones which will go on here like so. So really, really simple fitment. These are just the cover caps, which as you see are coming off at the moment. So take them to one side. This is the alarm itself, 3M tape, which I've got to access with by pulling that off like that. So I've got to stick this onto the rear, pull those tabs out, which arms it, and I've got some screws in there to screw into this to secure it. Now, I know what you're thinking. The first comments I'm going to say are, it's only sticky tape, you can pull those off really easily. All the videos I've watched have fully grown blokes pulling on these to try and get them back off. And yes, I'm sure if you whacked it with a hammer or whatnot, it would get them off. But remember, these alarm systems are triggered by vibration of things. As soon as you even try and pull the door handle, these things are triggering. So if someone's trying to yank one of these off, they're not going to get it off without you making a hell of a racket. So it's more of a deterrent than stopping someone actually physically getting through the door. But I'm like to think that because this is 113 decibels of alarm system, it's going to be uncomfortable for them to be next to trying to yank these off, and also it's going to raise suspicion, or at least let me know something's happening before they break into it. So these are battery operated, so I will need to replace the batteries at some point when they get low, but that's why it's all fitted with screws and things like that. And the last thing to note is I need to leave a 2 centimeter gap from around the edge. To say I'm putting it here, not to put it right up against there, which may look neater, but then I'd never get the tool on there. So I've got to have it at least 2 centimeters away from any kind of framing of the doors and things like that. But that's enough jibber jabber. Let's clean off an area where I'm going to put it. I do need to use these 3M wipes because I cleaned the van again today and gave it a ceramic coating, which reminds me, one of the comments said, hopefully the Blingos have better paintwork now compared to mine, which rusted out. I know, All cars will have paint issues if you don't take care of them. I am a bit of a detail fanatic, so that's why this is the second cleaning in 2 weeks and I've ceramic coated it. So that shouldn't be an issue. Anyway, let's clean off the area and fit the first of the alarm. I've taken the alarm off. I've just got the back plate now with the 3M tape. I'm going to eyeball it probably around there, just below the light. It makes sense to keep it in line with the top light. The handles is all just nice and central. I'm a bit OCD like that. And having it fitted here, just down from the ridge, means I can still get the tool in if I need to take this system off and replace the batteries or whatnot. But also positioning it here covers this whole rear panel. So anybody that tries to get into any of this part of the van, it will trigger from being positioned here. So time to peel off the tape, make sure I don't drop it and get any dirt on it, because that would be a nightmare, and then push it on here and use this tool to help really push that 3M tape in. I'm not going to use a spirit level, I'm going to do it by eye, and if it messes up, so be it. I've already missed a step, hopefully that still stays on. I didn't do the alcohol wipe, but the fact I've just cleaned the car meticulously, I'm pretty confident that should stay on. If it falls off, that's on me. There we go. Time to pull out the tabs, which I should hear a beep. There we go. Pop that in there. Screw that into place. Last two, double check. There we have it. All of it secure. As you can hear, it's just shifting the seal on the door itself. Put on the final piece of the puzzle. It just clicks on. There we go. And that's secure. And there's a tool to pry that back off. But now you can't see the screws or anything. This can't come off unless you use the dedicated tool or smash it off with a sledgehammer, I'm sure, like people are going to say in the comment section. But that is the rear door fitted. I'm going to go get the fob, turn it on, and see how it sounds. It's disarmed at the moment, but I'm going to press the lock button, which will arm it. Gives one beep. There we are. I now know it's completely armed. So at the moment, I cannot go near it. It's absolutely fine. But as soon as I try and touch the panel, try and open the top, stupid loud. And from my understanding, if I then try the door again within a close time to that first one, it'll go off for 30 seconds. So if someone's just walking past, tries the door, had to walk away because that was deafening. So it's certainly sensitive. Another 7 different sensitivity settings on it. That's on its most sensitive. So if you're somewhere where it's particularly windy, it's moving the van quite like it's going off, you can turn down the sensitivity. Typically where I am at the moment is pretty controlled, and where I'm going to be parking this van, I'm going to want it quite sensitive. But if I'm finding getting false indications, I can change the sensitivity settings on it. That's now disarmed at the moment because I pressed the unlock button, so I can do the van door, I can pull it as much as I want. But yeah, it doesn't take much. It's now the following day and time to fit the 2 side alarms. Now, I would have done all of this yesterday, but I found that the screwdriver provided in the kit is quite a small one. I think is actually for replacing the batteries within the system. It wasn't beefy enough to tighten up the screws onto the mounting plate. So I did have to go to Wix, which took up a bit of time to get a precision screwdriver set, because I didn't have one that fit the specific little screws that this uses. So that's something to bear in mind if you're fitting this kit. Just make sure you've got a decent screwdriver set that you can use to fit the screws nice and snug into the system when it's mounted on. These are a bit smaller, as you can see, and where I've got to mount them is the opposite side of the hinge. So on a sliding door, you've got a hinge and a runner on one side. The other bit is where doors can typically be peeled back, so that's where you mount this one, and it still protects the whole door, but that's where you need to mount these, where it's going to be most aggravated by people trying to get into a van. So time to do it on both sides. It shouldn't take too long. I think it's all pre-synced from the factory. When they send them out, they sync up the system, because this is a 2 singles and a double, a dual, as I said yesterday, and it all comes pre-synced. So it should literally be a case of putting this on, taking out the tabs so that they are armed, pressing the lock button, and all 3 alarm systems will sync up and work, in theory. But let's get them fitted and see what it's like. Now, you can get more of these. You can get these to fit onto the things like ladders or tools you got on the top, and even on the front doors as well. But what I found, well, my wife found yesterday, was she forgot that I had it armed on just the rear door. She tried the front door and it triggered the back ones. If I lock them and arm them, wave the beep all round. Despite the fact that I don't have one on the front door, because the sensitivity is pretty high, even if someone came along and tried pulling this, it sets them all off. So it's super sensitive. So I don't need ones on the front. And also, The only reason they're on the rear is because I don't have windows. People can't see what's in the back. As I've mentioned in the previous one, I never plan to leave valuables in here. I take stuff out after every session. It's a faff, I know, but I don't want to leave anything in here. But on the odd occasion, I'm at a service station or staying at a hotel overnight, anything like that where I have the kit in there and no choice but to leave it in there, that's why I've got something like this. So yes, there's nothing on the front door, but as you've just seen, let's disarm it all. It still triggers even if someone tries putting it on the front door. So that is very impressive, I'm not going to lie. Now, as I said, I was talking to the owner and manufacturer of this, so he did send it out to me as a complimentary one. So all the links to these and everything's going to be in the description down below, and also there will be a discount code of MBF. So if you want to get some of these and get a bit of a discount as well, put them onto your van, your car, whatever, check out Van Guardian. It's been a few days and I've had 0 issues so far with the Van Guardian kit, so I'm very, very happy with that. Now it's time to start working on the back of the van, because as you know, I've used this for several trips already, and already the back of this van is getting all scuffed up and it's not really working for how I want it to be. Now there's a few things I want to sort. Obviously the main thing is cover this rear section with plywood, get it nicely covered. It looks like it's going to be fairly simple. I'm probably going to get it to sit within this line here, so it should just fit in quite snug. There's a little turnout there, so it looks like quite a simple shape. But I do want to keep the use of these, so I need to draw out some of these, see how big these bolts are, because I want to be able to use this to, 1, secure the plywood down to the floor, but 2, leave these hooks still available so that I can use ratchet straps like I've got set up at the moment. Because if I'm going to be wheeling my barrow in here, I could get some things where I make sure that the feet are secure in the floor, but having this just ties down the top, it stops anything from falling off, it keeps everything secure during journeys. And then if it's not just being used for fishing kit and transporting things that needs to be kept down quite safely, I've got the use of the ratchet strap. So that's the first requirement. Now the next issue is, if we go through into the back of the van, is, as you know, I'm keeping the seats in here because I'm using this as a family vehicle on occasions when we're going on little family trips and taking the kit with me. We've got several fishing trips lined up this year, so these seats have to stay in. There's a few comments saying, remove the seats, remove the bulkhead. You clearly didn't watch the full video, because the reason of keeping all this is so that I can still use this as a family vehicle on family holiday trips as and when I need to. So these need to stay in, and it doesn't fold down completely flat. If I put the camera down like that, you can see there's a bit of a step up lip, so it's not the biggest issue, and it's fairly hardware and plastic. I'm not too fussed about that. It's more a case of this is all getting scratched up and scuffed. I want to have it covered with wood again, so that it's just protecting the seats and it's nice and wipe clean. It's going to make sense to have one bit of plywood on there and one bit on there, so that when I'm doing the seats, they're all separate. Because what I don't want is them to be joint and then trying to do all the seats at once and all that weight's being put through the wood. So I need to do one bit that covers here, one bit that covers here. At the moment, I'm thinking of attaching that with just really simple double-sided tape, or like the Velcro tabs, something that just holds it in place, because it doesn't need to be under much stress. It's just being used as something on top of this. Then that leaves me with this issue here, which is just dead space. So I think what I'm going to try and do is check how these seats sit when they get up, because I don't want them to interfere with the mechanism, and then have some kind of lino from here to here which slides. So when you put the seat up, it slides and it covers the back, and then when you put it down, it slides. So it's not fixed in place, but it still covers this from getting loads of dirt and grime in there. So that's what I'm thinking. But first and foremost, let's at least get this bit ply lined, and then we can work from this to do those sections as well. And what I didn't think about is if this isn't actually going to fit in the back of the van. Cut down to size it will, but I need a bigger van to bring this much material in the van, unless I can find some smaller sheets. Unless they cut it here. I didn't think getting the materials home would be the difficult bit. It's beeped me all the way home. Hopefully it realises once I shut the door that there's not a problem and it doesn't throw up more Frenchy codes. But I've had seatbelt light, I've had brake warning light coming on telling me to stop, I've had it constantly telling me boots open. I'm aware of that, and it's been trying to do the central locking the whole way home, so I just hope I haven't messed up the electrics of it. There's probably people in the comments going, you should have done this if you're doing this with the boot open, but I'm home now, that's the main thing. It's where I come around and find that the wood's not there. It is still there. Happy days, it did its job. We can now finally get working on at least the base of the rear of the van. I had my safety squints on, don't worry. There we go. I mean, it's pretty rough around the edges, but so am I. But it is now fitting within this lip, which is exactly what I wanted it to do. And it goes out a bit wider there. Yes, there's a gap, but I'm really not fussed. It's now flush to the very edge up here. And it fits. Although it looks like it overhangs a bit here, it should. Let's check. Oh no, so now we need to notch there. That's absolutely fine. So we need to notch out the boot latch there. And then I'm guessing this doesn't fit anymore either. Oh, this one does. So we literally just need to notch here. It's rough cut, let's see. Okay, so it latches, but we're now catching just here. So it's going to round the corner there, round the corner here. I think this should shut. I bet you've never seen anything done quite so rough. Don't answer that in the comments section. I'm not talking that sort of thing. There we are. I've just tapered in the edges, rounded off the edges. I think I need to widen that ever so slightly, but shuts, does its job. So I'm just going to neaten this up, like I said, and then I think we're pretty much good to get fitting the holes for where these screws are. Now, how I'm going to find those, I think it's going to have to be actually doing some measuring. Let's see if this works. Bit of blue tack. Place it lightly on there. Hey, it worked. Okay, I'm not sure at what point I stopped filming, but let's just fill you up to speed of what I've just done for the last 30 minutes. I found the holes by using that little blue tack method. I've drilled them out, and I've now got longer bolts which I bought from Wix, which are the same size as the original ones but just longer. They all now fit. I've had to do a bit of fine adjusting. I can see daylight through the hole I've made into the original hole for these, and all four of them screw in like so. So I've now done the testing, all four of them fit, so I can secure this down, and doors shut, not a problem. So I've added the plywood. See that bit of wood in front of you? Yeah, and it's going to secure down with the original bolt holes.
Yeah.
And then I can load my fishing stuff in much easier.
Yeah. I get to the ramp.
Yeah, the ramp will help me go whoop straight up in.
I love it to Lily diving.
You love it when Lily's driving?
Yeah.
You haven't driven yet, but one day. Okay, I've got 90 by 70. Still needs a good amount off. I think that's pretty much that. I'm at the point now where this board fits perfectly on the back of this seat, but I still want to have access to the tether points just in case I ever need to use them, so I don't have to keep taking this off every time I want to use the tether points. And also this latch here, which I just need to tape up. So what I've done is ran tapes perfectly in line with the points that I need to cut out. So I can just mark this on the board, draw the lines across, and where they intersect is the bit I need to cut out. So I should have the perfect cutout for this tether point, that tether point. Like I said, I'm about to do this one here as well. And then I'll have all of those points perfectly lined up. All marked up. Get this down in position to where it's going to be. One line. Two lines. And there we have it, absolutely bang on. Can still access that. I'm just going to round off these edges, but that is exactly what I wanted. So should mean that that one and that one are lined up as well. Then we'll test fit before we secure it down. And remember, I still need to cover all of this as well, but getting all this done is just meaning that I don't have to come back and fiddle with it at a later date. And I know, excuse me, and I know a lot of you are probably saying, just get a prefabricated kit. And yes, I could probably do that, but you're forgetting that, one, I'm a content creator doing a series on a van build. Two, I love doing DIY stuff, so I get a lot of satisfaction from doing something a bit different than just going fishing. I do enjoy making things, I always have done. I've done a lot of DIY on the house. So I'm actually enjoying this as a project, and then once it's done, I can look at it and think, I did that, just like I've done with a lot of stuff in the house. So never underestimate the value of doing something yourself and seeing how rewarding it can be. So that's why, yes, I'm probably taking a lot longer than it would be if I just bought a prefabricated kit, and I may still do that with the rest of the van. But for doing this to make it work for my needs, with the tools I've got for at the moment, what was this, 25 quid for a board? But we're very, very close to having the base done in a way that I like, in a very DIY manner. So that's why I'm doing it myself, saving money, but enjoying the project at the same time. Right, let's cut these ones out as well. Perfect. This is going to be the boot liner. It's an old ground sheet from a 2-man bivvy, actually the Sonic Access 2-man, which I no longer use. So if anyone in the comment section lives in the West Country area near Bath and wants the Sonic Access 2-man bivvy for free, send me a message and I'll give it to you, except the ground sheet. So this is going to be what I'm going to be cutting up and sticking to the board. This should be a nice hardware material, easy wipe clean, and it's something I've got. So far I've spent time, a bit of money on some hardware and a piece of wood and an old ground sheet. So I'm doing it pretty budget friendly as well. So let's get cracking. Now let me be perfectly clear before I do this. I have not got a clue what I'm doing. This is purely a DIY bodge job. Well, what's the worst that could happen? I tip that all over my brand new van. So I've got high strength contact adhesive, multi-purpose, instant bond on contact, dries clear, water resistant, good on wood, MDF, chipboard, hardboard, rubber, stone, metal and many more. So I think it's pretty much does everything. And try and roll it on, put it on as smooth as possible, but this should stick quite nicely to the plywood. Well, that was very time sensitive. This is virtually stuck to the pan already, or whatever you want to call it. I think that went pretty smoothly. It may not look the prettiest, but it serves a purpose. What I'm going to do, because I've left an overlap of it all, wrap it round and staple from the other side. Only little staples, it's only 9mm thick ply or something like that, just to try and hold it in position. Oh, Joe, you absolute bellend. I think that went pretty smoothly. I've got it completely wrong, Lily. Here is the latch. Here is the latch. The side that I've covered is that way round. Latch isn't there, is it? Latch should be here. Oh, it's a new dawn, it's a new day, and I'm feeling like we should be able to get the rest of the back finished today. I put all the materials in here when I finished last night, so whoa, my days. I left the contact adhesive in there with the lid ajar. Wow, that was pointless me putting an air freshener in there yesterday. Right, let's take you out. There's probably that stinks, because wow, oh my days. Well ventilated area. Let's open all the windows. Gotta say though, at a glance, that's looking quite nice. Right, let's take these out. At least I know this all works. Like, that's reaffirming that something I did work yesterday. Now you're probably spotting that this is a pretty rough looking ground sheet, and that's absolutely fine because this is used. And the last thing I really wanted to do on a DIY project to put something down that I was precious of. It's going to be hardware and it's going to get absolutely covered in muck. So I didn't want anything that's going to be precious and be worried about. And this, from the off, as soon as it's in, I'm not going to be too fussed about because it didn't cost really anything and it's already weathered. Now tape wise, I've opted for double-sided sticky tape, but there's a bit of a foam pad between it as well, because if this isn't a perfect fit, I don't want to be pushing it down with really thin, just double-sided tape. So the fact there's a bit of foam between each layer of adhesive, it should mean I've got a bit more leeway with sticking it down onto the seat. I hate double-sided stuff, but they're all peeled back, ready to go. So now for the crucial bit, making sure I get it all lined up nicely. They're both stuck and still fully functional. So let's just check if one, the bulkhead still slides over the top of them. It should. It does. Absolutely perfect. Slide that back and make sure all the seats still work. That one's clicked in. That one's clicked in. Back to a fully usable 5-seater van. Back down. Still on. I can lean on it, back down, and there we are. Much more hard wearing. I'm happy chucking heavy things on here because it's not then going to dent the thin metal on the back of the seats. Oh, finally, part 1 done. Now, finish off the back section and mount it in there. Ta-da! What I thought was going to be an afternoon's job. I always underestimate how long these things are going to take. Of course, I made a few mistakes, but we are now fully fitted. I'm going to give this all a bit of a wipe down because it's a pretty grotty ground sheet, but it's now in position. We've got still access to these tension strap mounting points, and they fold flat if I'm not using them. It's now much more hardware, and I can jump in here straight on the hardwood and absolutely no issues with damaging the floor. I've also now just fitted this bit. So I did toy with the idea of having hinges, but as you can see, just having 2 little brackets here, which I'm going to remove and paint black or green or something so they actually colour match a bit more. Not that it matters too much, but it's serving a function. So it's now fitted in position. It can't really slide forwards because it's going to have weight on it, and also it's slotted behind the seat covers. But then when I want to use the seats, just pop that off, stick it to the side, or lie it down flat at the back here. That's not an issue either. And then use the seats. So rather than faffing with a hinge and putting hardware in where I don't need to, I've just done that. As quick as that, it's now back in position. So, the jump out the back of the van. That is job complete on the base at least. Now you guys need to get involved in the comment section. What do I do with the sides? Because I could probably do it myself, but it'd probably end up a bit janky. So, places to go for full kits that I can just put in myself, or if you think it's better just to go to someone professional, get them to do it, mount it professionally and go from there, then let me know.
That brings us to the end of episode 2 of the van build. We've now got a seriously beefy power setup, a very loud theft deterrent, and some boot lining that looks spotless, as long as you don't look too close. In episode 3, which is already underway, I'll be pushing to get the van as close to finished as possible, wrapping up the rear, sorting the final bits, and then finally putting it all to use on some proper adventures. Big thanks to EcoFlow for sponsoring this video, and Band Guardian for getting me sorted on the alarms. Links to both are in the description. And if you enjoyed this video, give it a like, consider subscribing if you haven't already, and I'll see you in the next one.